welcome to my show, Leslie Said What? Enjoy, guys.
Hello, and welcome everybody to Leslie Said What? The program where you can ask questions, make comments, join the conversation, and we have a big old discussion via Facebook Live. Sometimes it's just often easier for you to have your question discussed out loud, for you to get a different perspective from other people. So sometimes we don't always have the answers. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm discussing it, I'm hearing it openly discussed. It makes it easier for me to understand. So that's the whole purpose of this show. Tonight's show hits a little close to home, y'all. I'm not going to lie to you. It hits a little close to home for me because I am definitely one of those people who were smacking myself on the hand for having mental health issues and yet being in the church at the same time and trying to figure out that balance. So a lot of times we either smack ourselves on the hands and say, hey, we don't have enough faith. Or we end up getting to the point where we beat ourselves up because, we're not talking to the pastor, or we're not talking to God enough, or we're not doing this. We're going to address it all tonight, y'all. We're going to address it all tonight. I have two co-hosts with me tonight. One is my guest co-host, Miss Nesiya Fann, who you guys know from last week, and I had to bring her back because the chemistry, the camaraderie of the two of us together was just golden. And then I also have my amazing brother-in-law, Mr. Herrell Mitchell, who is a state-certified mental health professional that's also going to help address these questions. Now, let me just say that, yes, both of these people do attend church. So it's not like they're coming from the outside. Okay. So we're just putting that out there from the beginning. But what I'm going to do first is bring out my co-host for tonight, Miss Nesiya Fann.
What's up?
Hey, Ness.
How are you?
I'm good, girl. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me back tonight.
No, it is definitely my pleasure. Ness, literally our chemistry last week was golden. Literally, I just thought it was literally just went so well. So I had to bring you back, girl. I had to bring you back. So tonight joining us, Ness, we have Mr. Herrell Mitchell. So I'm going to bring him out in just a second because what you all need to hear first is the question and the reason why I have bugged my poor brother-in-law to come and join us. So again, welcome, Ness. And so the question of the week is, this is what was submitted. Why is mental health not a topic of discussion in the church? And it's often regarded as, you're not praying hard enough. It's one of those questions, yep. Ness. It's one of those. They went deep, Ness. They went deep. They went real deep. So to help me and Ness out, I brought a professional along. So here we go. Let's introduce Mr. Herrell Mitchell.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
We are good.
That's good. Y'all are so funny. I like the energy in here. It's nice. Really, really good energy in this group, in this little show tonight.
Well, nothing but the best with me and Ness. I mean, for real. There's always energy with us. Always energy with us.
Right.
Now, if you are watching out there in the audience, feel free to comment at any time. We want you to join the conversation so that it's not us
Right.
working at y'all and preaching at y'all the whole time. So
Right.
please feel free to join the conversation in the comments. Also, feel free to let us know you're here. Say hey. We'd like to acknowledge you guys. So go ahead and say hey in the comments so we can recognize some of our viewers tonight. But like I was telling Ness, Herrell, the golden question that came up was about mental health in the church. So I brought you along.
Okay.
Now, the question that was addressed is, why is it not a topic of discussion in the church, and why is it often regarded as something that is basically like a taboo subject or a hoax or whatever? So that is the question we're going to be dealing with tonight. We're going to hear from our audience real quick. Let's see who's here. If you're here, say hey. Oh, Victoria Hardy. Hey, girl. Hey. All right. So if you're, like I said, feel free to say hey and join the conversation tonight. Okay. All right, Herrell. So I'm going to pull up this question.
Okay.
And we're going to let you go first. And me and Ness going to chime in.
All right.
All right. So we're going to leave the question up for tonight. All right, Herrell, you want to go ahead and start with us?
Yeah. Why is mental health not a topic of discussion in the church, and is often regarded as, oh, you're not praying hard enough? For one, I think it's not a topic because a lot of people are not educated on mental health. If you bring up mental health in church, one of the first things people are going to say is you have a demon.
Right.
That's one of the first things they're going to say. Right. They're going to refer to the scriptures. Hold on, I got them. They're going to refer to they're going to refer to Matthew 12:45. This talks about the man that had the seven legions, and Jesus asked him what was the name, and he said legions because it was many of them. Mm-hmm. Then they're going to go to Acts 19:16, and then they will go to Daniel chapter 4, talking about Nebuchadnezzar, how he lost his mind. And he lost his mind because he thought he was trying to overthrow the king, or he thought he had more power than the king, something to that reference. Mm-hmm. And he lost his mind. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the first things people are going to say. They're going to go straight to I know they're going to go to one about the legions. And then in Acts 19:16, they talk about the man that had it talks about the other man that had the seven spirits jump in him because they say he was empty. Say he wasn't praying and fasting and doing what he's supposed to do enough. And so the seven spirits went and got more spirits and came back and jumped in him. And that's what people are going to refer to inside the church. Right. And a lot of people do that because, for one, nobody really says people do now. A lot of people don't go to school and say, I'm going to be a mental health counselor, or I'm going to be a psychiatrist. Or you do have some people, but not in our community, not in our church. Mm-hmm. It's not a lot of Black psychiatrists, Black psychologists, and things like that. But it's growing now because now more people are taking time out with mental health. Back in the day, everybody had this thing like, get over it. Don't worry about it. Don't put too much stress on it. Get over it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people develop mental health issues from trauma of their childhood that they never dealt with.
True.
Because nobody wants to sit down and talk to another individual about trauma they faced as a child, mm-hmm. whether it be some type of abuse, sexual, physical, emotional. Nobody wants to sit down and talk about that. Now more people are doing it because now you hear about mental health everywhere. Mm-hmm. When you have things that happen big in the country or big in society, some people say, well, he has a mental health issue. And then you get people thinking like, maybe he does have a mental health issue. But then you're like, well, what mental health issue do you have to just go and commit a mass shooting? Mm. Because mental health is breaking down to anxiety, bipolar, schizoaffective, which is schizophrenic, plus mood disorder. The schizophrenic it affects the mood. Then you have schizophrenia, then you have manic depression, you mm-hmm. have major depression, then you go into things like mood disorders, right. I said bipolar, and things like that. And then people are now becoming more aware of what these things actually are.
Mm-hmm.
And believe it or not, inside the church, a lot of people deal with those things. They just don't want to put their business out like that. And trust plays a big part in that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you feel like someone will use that against you if you may have a disagreement, or they'll just say something, and people don't have the understanding that it's more to it than just calling a person crazy. Like in the mental health field, that's one of the worst things you can call a patient or a client or individual is crazy. You can't even, like, let's say we laugh. We say, "Oh, you're crazy." When I worked in the state hospital in Virginia, you cannot say that. Like if a patient says something funny, you'd be like, "Oh man, you so crazy." They'll start to freak out and say, "He's calling me crazy," and you'd be like, "No, I'm just saying, I'm just laughing with you."
Right.
But they will take it as you're really calling me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like we can't call people, like, call them a schizophrenic. That's a no in the field of mental health. And a lot of people haven't been educated on this type of stuff, and especially in the church. It's just like, pray.
Well,
go ahead.
No. So, like, my question is, hello, hey, William is saying, hey,
Hey,
Kenita McGee. Yeah. So the thing is, and what people don't realize is, oftentimes in the church, the church contributes
to your mental health.
Your mental health, because it literally plays. And I never thought of it as a mental health thing, because mental health is often taken as a word that is like, you automatically crazy, or you got something going on upstairs. But mental health does play into things like that are considered more simple, like anxiety, like depression, things like that. And I suffered drastically with depression, anxiety, because of people in the church. Let's just put that out there. People in the church made me think that every little thing I do, every little thing I say do is going to send me to hell. So my anxiety came from, oh gosh, what did I say today? What did I do today? What did I say? Oh, God's going to send me to hell. It literally became something that was of torment to me, to the point where it built me an anxiety disorder. And I'm not always blaming it on the people in the church, but it honestly is their ignorance as well. There has to be some type of balance in the fact of, the way that people come across people when it comes to different things. Oh, well, you ain't got no business. Oh, let me just say this one. You're too blessed to be stressed and too anointed to be disappointed.
That's true. That is what they say.
What do you mean? I'm too blessed to be stressed. I ain't blessed in every area of my life.
Exactly.
To the point where there ain't gonna be some stress. You're tripping.
Right.
Ness, what are your comments?
Actually, right after college, I ended up working in the mental health field for quite a few years. And you saw different walks of life, and I will say this: when it comes to our topic in the Black community, I think that we take mental health sometimes as a joke.
And
the reason why I say that is because, we've been places and, that's Uncle so and so. They act like that. Don't pay them no mind. That's Aunt so and so. And so for years we've ignored this elephant in the room of what's the root of why this person is acting the way that they're acting. And so we've just kind of skated around those things. And so what we see is when our children get into school and the teachers are saying, hey, there's a disconnect, something's going on, the first thing we holler, ain't nothing wrong with my child, because we haven't dealt with that. We knew something was going on, but we chose to ignore it. But I think when it comes to the Black community, we ignore the signs, we ignore the symptoms. And like you said, Leslie, most of us have been, that's just the devil. You just need to pray about it and keep it moving. Okay. But you feeling like this every day, that depression is coming on every day. You having those, maybe even suicidal thoughts
Yeah.
every day. But somebody's telling you that they're, to pray, or you going to what they call holy night, and they dousing you with
Oh yes.
the water and the
What's
oil
it?
and trying to
Terry
give you that.
service. Terry service. Girl. Terry service.
And so which is true, because I actually, had a friend who talked about, how her mom, actually took her to one of those services, because she kept telling her mom, Mom, I got, all these different, voices going on in my head. Mom took her to holy night. They thought, okay, we slapped this oil on your head and, cast out the demons and stuff, and she would be all right, when she didn't. What happens is those issues developed as she became an adult and got even more serious.
Yeah.
She kind of had to take that step on her own to get her own personal help. So I think when it comes to the church, it goes back to what Herrell was saying. People are not educated, and then you have sometimes where people just will not acknowledge it, because we have this stigma where you're a Christian, so Christian and mental health, they should reside in the same place, is how people feel. So we just bypass that stuff. So when it comes to the church, and I was thinking about, and it's interesting that this question came up, because I was actually thinking about this, like, why don't we have more segments on mental health in church? Like right now, there, this extreme pandemic is going on. It has affected people in a lot of ways. And I haven't seen a lot of services that even talk about the mental health, that people are experiencing right now.
That's true.
So I think that in the Black community, we definitely need to wake up and realize, that these things need to be addressed.
Right.
And I often think it also is taken as a weakness, in a sense. Like, we in the Black community, we already are, have our issues and different things that we always try to be a step ahead. And it's like, oh, ain't nobody gonna call me crazy, because then it's gonna take me 15 steps back.
Right.
So we often bring that as like a defense mechanism. One of the comments was from Summer. Summer said, "Too blessed to be stressed." What? Yes, Summer. That is literally one of the sayings that we have heard throughout the years. That you are too blessed to be stressed. I'm too anointed to be disappointed.
I think I got it on a card somewhere. I'm looking around my office like, somebody sent me a card that says.
And that's the thing, though. It's like we hop on these phrases and different things that ain't even scripture.
Nope.
Like, it ain't even scripture. Like, I never will forget, y'all, that time that I found out that cleanliness is next to godliness, not even in the Bible. That ain't no scripture.
No matter how clean you be, you'll never be next to God. Never.
Exactly.
Never. It won't happen.
Exactly. Let's talk. So the next point I'm going to get y'all's perspective on. We'll go with Herrell and then Ness. What about the point that's made is there's shame in talking to someone other than God or a pastor? What do you think of that, Herrell? And then Ness, your turn.
Like, again, with that goes back to lack of education. God puts doctors on earth. He puts therapists, counselors on earth. Let's say you're sick and you need to go see a doctor, and you say, no, I'm just going to pray about it. And your condition gets worse. Well, you're not using wisdom and understanding. That's just like with mental health. If you continue to say, I'm going to pray about it, and we know that God can wipe the problem away. We know that. Right. We understand that. So he can move mental health professionals out of the way, and he can heal everybody that's mentally ill. We understand that. But until that happens, you have people out here that are fully invested in helping people with mental health issues. And I have an individual I work with now. He had to check himself into the hospital because he was feeling suicidal. He said, I'm so glad I did that, because I did that in May. Let me see. We are in the middle of September. He's going on 3 months clean of drugs and alcohol.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. And he has a long history of using drugs probably since he was like, as a kid. He's in his 41, 42 now. And so he was saying, I'm so glad I did that, because now I go to AA, I have a sponsor, and I'm clean. And he was like, if I didn't do this, it's no telling what I would have done. I would still be using. I'll still be like manipulating. And he's a great guy. He's one of the most compliant and well-invested clients I have. But he said, it's no telling what I would be doing. I would still trying to sneak around and use this drug and then come back and lie and tell you I'm not when I know I am. But I was able to get help. I started going to AA. I got a sponsor. I'm going on 3 months clean. You come see me. You do activities with me. Give me understanding and information. And he said, I'm glad I did this because I've tried to kill myself plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is because he told me I have so much anxiety and I have so much fear of being a weak man if I talk to somebody about my issues. Because for years people have used things against me because I'm a little different. And these are his exact words. And that is one of the main things that we deal with. It's the fear of being looked down upon. It's the fear of, oh, you're weak. You're not praying enough. Well, you can pray 24 hours. You're still going to need something.
That's right.
Yep, that's right.
And people say too blessed to be stressed. You can be blessed with $1 million. It's still something's going to stress you out.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Something's still going to mess you up. So people have to. What a lot of people got to do is first think about what they're saying, because you could be saying this to somebody who was sexually assaulted as a kid, and then in their mind right now, they're still struggling and dealing with that because they're like, let's just say a female, she's like, I'll never trust another man because of what happened to me, and then she has, and that's her right to feel that way, but she can meet somebody like a counselor or somebody that she trusts and talk to them, and they can kind of coach them and help them along the way. That's what people need more. People need more people not looking at them and saying, you're not praying enough. You're not in service enough.
Right.
You need to come and get the demon released out of you. But all of it isn't demons. Don't get me wrong. You have some spirits on earth, and we know that. But
we know that, yeah.
But some people are normal people, just like us. They go to church, they pray to do all they have to do for the Lord, but they're still struggling mentally, and they don't know how to get over it because the church is saying, "Oh, you don't need to do that. You just come to the sister service, and we're gonna sit down and talk about it." I don't want to be I don't want to be giving. I don't want to be spilling my business out to you, and then if I don't do something, you on such somewhere talking about me, and that's gonna make my issues even worse.
Yep, it's true.
And people just got to be mindful. It's 2020. People are still calling people crazy, still saying people are not doing this or doing that. But people are trying to do the best they can do, and they still are lacking something mentally.
It's true. Ness, what's your take on this?
I think that we have to get to a place, like I said, understanding the seriousness of it. And I think that we have to also break those generational cycles and those generational words of advice, that we received, from, grandma, and not saying that, they come with plenty of wisdom. I'm not knocking them out because I've gained some great understanding from them. But I think sometimes, and I don't know about you guys, but you sit back and you think about a saying that somebody said in your family, you thinking like, man, that's jacked up. Like, what did y'all get that from? Like, that don't make any sense. But because people kept on passing it along and along, and I think sometimes we have to stop the buck and cut things off. Like, no, I'm not going to continue this trend. I'm not going to continue this cycle, because you have to realize something is really taking place. And so I think we have to sometimes break out the norm, and it's hard to do. Sometimes with your families and stuff, because when we shift to take a different course than what we're supposed to, it kind of puts people in an awkward position. But I think you have to break those cycles.
Yeah.
It's so true. And William's comment is, it amazes me how the Black church will encourage blood pressure, cholesterol, BMI levels, etc., but not promote mental health. Mental health issues have just as much of an effect on the body as previously listed.
Yes,
so true, William.
Because we'll have a bake sale and sell some dinners in a minute.
Right.
But won't give somebody some education or give somebody a referral to go deal with what they're dealing with.
Yes.
And mental health, like people with mental health issues, did you know tobacco companies target them because they know that they have anxiety, they're stressed out, they have all these psychotic disorders, and they'll feel like, oh, I can just relax for a while and smoke me a couple cigarettes. And tobacco companies target the mental health community. Like,
so true.
I've been in mental health for 12 years.
Wow.
All wherever I work, clients they worried about cigarettes, a monthly check, and something to eat. That's all
Right.
they're concerned
That's
about.
all.
They can care less if I'm coming to see them 3 or 4 times a week, breaking my neck to get there, rushing to get there, thinking because they're not answering the phone, and you thinking something's wrong with them, and they're just sitting in the house playing video games, and they're just sitting in the house eating. They're sitting in the house comfortable because they got what they were worried about, what they want, they got that.
Yep.
And then it's like us as professionals, you trying to get there and do all you need, do all you can for them, and they just like, oh, I'm fine. There's no need to worry about me. You just like,
Right.
well, answer the phone then. I don't know what's going on with you.
Right.
You know, you're under my care. I'm worried about you.
Right.
And then you just have, like I said, tobacco companies, they target those people because they know that's what they really care about.
Well, and see, and that's the thing that gets me, like with any of this, there's always what we call a quick fix.
Yeah.
And the church is the same difference.
Definitely.
You know, oh, you're depressed. Well, pray. Ask the Lord. Go up for prayer. Go up for prayer. Let them pray for you. Let them lay hands.
Yeah.
Or oh, you know, I just feel so anxious and so upset. Well, the Bible say, be anxious for nothing and sin not. You know, whatever.
Right.
You know, you know, all these things, these scriptures that they try to band-aid over.
Yes.
Deep situations. So literally, if I literally cut an artery right now and it's spewing out blood and I try to put a little Band-Aid on it, it's not going to help. It's not going to make a difference. Right. So like that Band-Aid that we constantly try to put on it in the church is not a form of healing. No. It's just what we want to be a temporary fix is we honestly, let's be for real, don't want to be bothered with other people's problems.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Right. You know, we want this is a holy place of God. This is a holy place. We don't bring all that up in here. Not in here, you won't. Yeah. Okay, which brings me to my next point, which is often, you know, said, you ain't got mental health issues. You just letting that devil use you, or the devil use you. Ness, what do you think on this one?
Like I said, it's those sayings that we get from folks, like, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, if you got different people talking to you in your head on a regular basis, I mean, really, like, I don't think it's the devil. I think we need to make an appointment. Let's get an evaluation, right, to see what's going on. If you have to, and here's the other stigma. About, and it goes back to what William was saying, like in the churches, you know, we pump up a whole lot of stuff, but when it comes to mental health, and especially when it comes to medication, oh no, I'm not taking no meds, but we taking high blood pressure meds, we taking medication to for our skin, to tighten up our skin, you know, all these different things, you know, but when it comes to mental health, no, I'm not taking that medication. I'm not, you know, right. And so we have these different areas, and I think that, you know, use wisdom, use common sense. If it's a constant trend that you're feeling some type of way, or you're just not feeling right within yourself, go get the help. I tell people all the time, there are so many ways and services out here free. Some of them are free.
Yeah.
You know, to get the help you need. And that's the other issue is, you know, people think, oh, well, I don't have the money to go and talk to somebody. You know, it's a lot of places out here that offer stuff on a sliding scale, you know, all these different avenues. But I think when we use these things, the devil using you, honey, the devil been using you for 10 years.
Right.
You know, we got to do something about that, you know?
Exactly. And Herrell, what's your comment on this?
It's kind of referring back what Nesiya said. It's the same thing. People for years have just been prone to have their mind a certain way,
right?
And they're just like, whatever you do, or go like they say, a shrink, or going to talk to a shrink, that ain't going to do nothing. Your problems still want to be there. We understand that, but that's not the point. The point is to get ongoing interventions, reinforcements to help you learn how to cope with the mental issue you're going with. Right. A lot of my clients that are diagnosed with SMI, which we call seriously mental illnesses. I'm sorry. It's no like cure for somebody that's paranoid schizophrenic or somebody that's having hallucinations. You give them medications. The medications help. It does something to the mind to help you lessen where the voices are, it'll help lessen the amount of voices you hear. But there's no cure for it. You just have to learn coping skills to deal with it, so you don't go out and harm someone or harm yourself or do something destructive. You just have to learn coping skills that you can utilize that actually work for you to help you remain calm, to help you stay in a good state. You know,
and I love how you said that.
Yeah,
I don't want to cut you off.
you're fine.
Like, and I love how you said that, because honestly, even if something not as so much as, as big as paranoid schizophrenia or any of that, anxiety and depression, to me, just as my opinion, is not curable in my mind. I know that sounds weird. Yes, God is a healer. God is a miracle worker. Don't get me wrong, but my anxiety and my depression never really actually goes away.
Right.
I have learned how to cope with it. I have learned how to get through it. And now that I have eliminated all that stuff that church people be saying to me, and I'm like, get on my face. Me and God, the Lord has talked to me directly. I know what I know when I know, and whatever.
Yeah.
And my anxiety and depression has gotten better.
Yeah.
But as far as the church goes, but at the same time, it doesn't go away, in my opinion. You learn coping skills and coping mechanisms, because honestly, I'm telling you, still at night sometimes I break out in sweats from my anxiety, worried about stuff that is like, what? And then I wake up the next morning, I'm like, what was I even so upset about?
Right.
But it literally is something that, hey, okay, thank you, Lord, this came to me. So you know how, like, people like praying that they get rich and that they don't be poor. But at the same time, when they get some money, they forget about God.
Yeah.
So, they stay in that poor or that humble situation so that so they need God. So they have a reason to go to God.
Right.
My anxiety and my depression, nobody but God can help me get through it when I have reached that high level.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have learned coping mechanisms to help me get through it.
Right.
So I like that Herrell had said there's not really a cure, because we always want to be healed.
Yeah.
That wilt thou be made whole situation. Yeah, I do want to be made whole, but if it's not God's will, it's not going to happen.
Right. And a lot of times we're just suppressing it and getting by. And like you said, it's so true when it comes to anxiety, because I deal with it too. And depression, I think, we have to get to that point where we recognize what our triggers are, what puts us in that state of mind and so forth. And so, like you said, you're going to have those moments. But I think that, with sayings like, the devil, you just let the devil use you. It's one of those things of people just trying to put that Band-Aid over a big issue and keep it moving and not addressing it,
It's true. Well, real quick, we want to show you guys a video, real quick video about a pastor who is actually pretty well known, and he was a big advocate for mental health and yet committed suicide.
Wow.
All right. So I'm going to share this with you all for just a second.
Okay. Oh, man. Wow.
Okay, so that like right there, like says it all. You know,
That's so
like
sad.
a pastor who is advocating for his people to get the mental health that they need was at the same time
We're
not taking
struggling.
care of himself.
Yeah.
So see, that's where the problem comes in a lot of times is we as people of God in the church, whether you want to be, if you don't even want to take the title people of God or just say just being a good person.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are a good person and you love service and giving to people, sometimes you give more than you physically can handle.
Yeah.
Like you give so much every time, it's always giving and there's nothing receiving.
Yeah.
You know, it's so essential to implement that self-care in the midst of taking care of everybody else. And so that's a lot of times where that ends up getting to be an issue is when you don't take care of yourself, or you don't look out for yourself, or you're always giving. And that's the thing with people in the church. Like we're always givers. And sometimes we give so much that we have nothing left to give ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. So true.
Yep.
I mean, it's just literally the way it is.
Yeah.
And I think like with that, I think being a pastor or different roles that we play, depending on our professions, I think all of us experience that burnout point where you're just truly burnt out, because and it's like I said, this is all coming around because I just had this conversation with a friend today about kind of like the way I had been feeling. And so they were like, strong people need people too.
Yep.
And so I think we forget about that because for me, I'm the person, I'm listening to everybody else's issues. I'm taking and sometimes taking them on when I shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that I know you can get overloaded, with that. And for this pastor, right there, having to listen to people and the hardships and different things that they're going through, you have to have somebody else, that you can talk to and get these things out to. And I think there also might be that shame in there too, because people feel like I have this title, so I can't confide into somebody else. Like I'm a minister, or I'm a bishop, I'm an apostle, I'm a teacher, I'm a whatever. So I'm supposed to be able to handle this. I'm supposed to be able to take on this weight. But in actuality, it's I need somebody who can listen to me. I need somebody who can, I can pour into, and they can talk me through those things. And, it's very unfortunate to see that happen with somebody like that and have to go through that. But I think that we have to realize, at the end of the day, we have to find somebody, an outlet that we can talk to, about the things that we're experiencing through the day, because it becomes a lot.
It's true. It honestly is the truth. Herrell, do you have any comments on that video?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was just like, well, if he was a mega church pastor, can you imagine the phone calls he got all throughout the night on top of dealing with his own issues? And I don't know what caused the suicide, but it had to be something that he was dealing with, and he didn't want to. Maybe he didn't want to tell people in fear of losing members. I don't know, but it was something he was dealing with for him to do that, on top of being an advocate, on top of probably being there for everybody else. Something may have just tweaked in his brain and said, your situation isn't going to get better. Kill yourself.
Yeah.
And then if you're not, even if you're a pastor, even if you can't fight off some things that the devil throws at you, or some things that you never were able to get help for as a youth, or as you were younger, or just even as an adult, you're just like, well, maybe this isn't going to get any better. Just let me just be done with it.
Right.
And we don't know why he did it, but it was very sad and unfortunate. And that's why people have to use empathy in these type of situations. You have to put yourself in a pastor like him. You got to put yourself in his shoes. He's already dealing with a lot, trying to have a mega church. And you just gotta, that's one of the main things in mental health is empathy. Like my first job coming out of college in mental health was dealing with juvenile sex offenders.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, and we had like an 8-step program, and one of the bullets was, empathy, and they had to, prove that they have empathy for their victims. They had to prove that, because by them not proving that they had empathy for their victims, they're pretty sick. It's just like you watch Criminal Minds, and you see some of the stuff they do up there, and you realize these are real people that are walking around us, and they're just doing these things. They have no empathy because they have some type of issue going on mentally, and they're lacking something, and that's how they get power and control, is by doing something outrageous or doing something crazy,
right,
and not showing that empathy for one another. And that's what the church lacks with people with mental health issues. They go straight they hit them straight in the throat and say, "You got a demon. You ain't praying. You ain't fasting enough." Not realizing this person has nobody to turn to. So let me go talk to my brother or sister at church. And when I spill to you what I'm going through, what I dealt with as a child, trauma I dealt with, PTSD, and the first thing you tell me, I need to go pray more, and I need to, and I got a demon in me. That's why so many people shy away from mental health in church, and they don't talk about it, because people are going to be like, the first thing, like if you ain't educated on it, that's the first thing you're going to say. Well, you need to pray more.
Yeah.
Or you like you're empty. You're not praying. You're not fasting. You're not reading your scriptures, when you could be doing all those things, and you still
is not doing anything.
Yeah, and you still hurting internally.
Yeah.
And people have to understand, like, mental health issues is different than someone that's intellectually disabled. Now, if you're intellectually disabled, you were pretty much born that way, and that's like more dealing with learning and understanding. But you have people that have mental health issues that can function just like a person just like a regular person. And believe it or not, we all deal with anxiety on a normal basis. It's something, I could be wrong, but it's something everybody is worried about and has anxiety about, that it's not going to work out. It's not going to go as planned. At some point in time during the day or the year or the month, we all deal with depression, which is like a lingering sadness. We all deal with that.
Yeah.
But it's just that some people can function better. That's just like an alcoholic. They'll be like they're alcohol dependent, pretty much saying that they can't do their normal routine. They can't go to work unless they get that drink. You have some people that deal with mental health issues that just keep going and keep going. But even this little segment right here is good, because somebody can be looking and hearing this and be like, well, I need to go get help. I'm not scared anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not scared anymore.
It's normal.
Yeah, I'm not worried about what people want to think about me. I need help. This is about me being healthy for my family, just for myself, my kids, my church, my community. I want to be healthy so I can help somebody. And people have to get a better understanding of that, because it doesn't make you a bad person that you seek out for treatment or seek out for help, because it's there. I had a friend tell me, how you going to believe in Jesus, but then you go see a therapist, or you go see a counselor. I mean, Luke was a chief physician, which a chief physician covers all aspects of, health and wellness or whatever. So it's there. Like, yes, Jesus is there. He is there for us to talk to him about everything. And we know that he's going to keep our problems to him. He's going to help us. But it's also good to go talk to somebody, just like we're sitting here talking. Somebody can be blessed through this
discussion. Exactly. And then that's the thing. That's the whole point of Leslie said, what is to create an opportunity for there to be that discussion about things that people may have questions about, that they don't want the whole world to know they got a question about. And so, and especially in the church, when it's like often like you shy away from certain things, or you have that fear component to ask a question, you don't have that here.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, part of the reason I created this. But yeah, so also, is there any other questions or any comments from the audience at all? If so, go ahead and leave your comment now. We're going to go ahead and start to wrap up. Don't want to keep y'all from y'all families too long, Ness and Herrell. But yeah, so I don't think there's any more comments popping up. But I just do want to say thank you to Nesiya and Herrell for joining me tonight. This has been truly helpful. I'm sure it's helped somebody.
Yeah.
Even if it's just one person, hey, God already he left the 99 to go get the one. So
that's it.
Yeah, and I'm just, but before we want to go, I just want to encourage people to take the time, take the time to assess what's going on around you. There's a lot going on, and if you're feeling, various ways, seek the help, get the help that you need. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in wanting to get better and make things better, for your life, so
it's
definitely
true.
out there.
That is the best decision I made, is to figure out what works for me. Because what works for me isn't necessarily working for everybody in the church or in my circle or in my friend group.
Right.
But it does work for me. So that's what I needed to do for me. And there's nothing at all to be ashamed about that. Because what is different or what may be unique doesn't make it wrong. It's just your approach.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. Approach is everything.
Yeah. So next week, everybody, we're going to lighten the show a bit, and we're going to do a trivia game night. So if you want to be in, we can have up to 10 people on screen. So it's going to be fun. So I even thought about doing old school Bible drill. Do y'all know what I'm talking about?
Oh my goodness.
So for our first game night, it may be old school Bible drill where you take the Bible and I say a scripture and you have to see who can find it first. So we may do that or something. So if anyone out there, guys, who are listening, if you are interested in joining the game night next Monday, feel free, let me know. I'll also be putting out a graphic. Again, thank you so much, Nesiya and Herrell, for joining me.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Everyone have a great night, and we are out.